Welcome, my beautiful ones. Today I'm going to share with you my reflection that wasn't born today or not yesterday. It was just kind of growing over the years realization, what I've been really experiencing prior to doing what I'm doing now. The first probably and the most important thing is what I can say now based on what I kind of embody and sense that most of my life and, a big part of my adult life, I was actually living through other people. What does it mean, living through other people? Being even in marriage, being in, living with friends, living with other people, meeting up, I was kind of adapting. I was like a chameleon. I don't know if I pronounced correct. Shaping into the group, shaping into opinion, shaping into everything, and virtually not having my own voice, not speaking, not saying what I believed, and not really, not being the one who have anything to say. And the funny thing is, not because I didn't have anything to say, there was a big part of me that I believe it didn't feel it has the right to say. Now, this is how I can say. And from now, when I can say, from already what I know, when I was working on myself, even if I say anything, no one will pay attention to it. No one will listen to that. Means the unconscious programs, they were actually, saving me from that experience, not really doing much. And why I'm sharing this with you, because some of you might experience that. Even like when I was like looking back over the years and I was asking who I was really when I was like 20 or 30, 40, I could not really see connection between those parts of me, those identities that were existing and kind of carrying the life then. Each of them, each different time, they were a little bit different. But for most of the time, I was the person who lives behind the curtain. How did it reflect in my life? I tell you first thing what I really noticed, and this by loving awareness was just gradually, bit by bit, showing to me where I am in my life. And it was actually seeing my place, my home, where we were living as a family. I could not see anything that belongs to me. And I'm not saying this to blame anyone. It was very neutral. It was our choice. We didn't create this purposely. It was like that. And the moment when I started noticing, I could notice that my husband, in every room, he had his stuff. He had his room. He had everything was everywhere. And it is not about that was bothering me. But when I came to the moment when I need to answer that question, where is my space? There was no space. Obviously, I had my clothes in the wardrobes. We had like a, normal living room and stuff like that. But I didn't have that my corner. I was not having this energetic space. I did not really exist. I was always behind someone. What does it mean energetically? I was not consciously, obviously, unconsciously leaking my energy outwards, looking for validation, looking for sense of, that I am existing through other people. Means if I have these people, if I'm in that group, I feel alive. If I belong there and if I agree with them, I am them. But it wasn't never me. Same with my husband. And he was like living, his another unconscious life, not even knowing. We were just like both. And, lots of people live like that. But I really want to point this because to me it's so clear to see that my energy was uncontained. It was just spread outwards for most of my life, to feel worthy, to feel enough through other people's situation and circumstances, to have a sense this is me. But this was not me. That was only other people energetic code, not mine. And then I tell you one thing that I was thinking I will share with you. And with time passing, when I become much more aware of, myself and, like, who am I? And, my life started to crumble down. Lots of things were changing. And I noticed, I remember, and there was like a sequence of things that after the party, when we were checking, with photos we were taking, and I could not see any photo of me. My husband did not take even one photo of me. And again, it wasn't about that he did this purposely. No, I was not energetic a being. I was just attached to everything everywhere. But when I was becoming aware, I could start feeling more. Before I did not feel anything. Means I was kind of not swinging. I was like moving through life behind the curtain, losing my energy codes. Absolutely not. And this is what happened in relationships. And I start talking on Facebook a little bit now about relationship, and a little bit from different angle. But here, I just want to say something, that this is such an important thing, because you worry that your partner is not seeing you. You worry that your partner forgetting about your birthday or doesn't, celebrate things with you. Because if you're doing what I used to do, energetically for them it's impossible to pay attention to your existence. Energetically, you almost like with them. And sometimes, often, when my husband did this few times and I pay attention, I didn't have any photo. What first thing happened with me? He doesn't love me. He see other people. He doesn't see me. And, the conversation, the ego identities, feeling uncomfortable. And there was those very first tweaks happening in my life. Like, there's something not correct, something not right. Why is like this? And blame, obviously, blaming, it become very personal. You just become like circulating. But this is when life become uncomfortable and you start sort of noticing this. And that's why in this video, I want to say the energy is yours, is limitless. God gave us energy. There is no package that you have to stay with that. It's unlimited. But when we shooting the energy outwards, our attention goes outwards, externally rather than internally. This is, you don't feel you alive. The sense of feeling alive is gone. The sense of, feeling I've done something, I feel a purpose, I feel love, I feel aliveness is gone, because you only sort of identify yourself through other people, things, and situation. Means the container of you does not exist, because it's almost like, like you have a pipe. Oh, for example, glass. And imagine I have, those little red dots. If there were holes, because one attention goes somewhere externally, another goes somewhere else, another else, means that energy that flows is just for a second, but it goes. It does not give you that sense of who you truly are, the beingness. And my only concept and my understanding of the why is like that, we're doing this till we start noticing, because it's not punishment that I have experienced that. I need to wake up to myself through my life experiences. to not to shoot out my energy anymore, to be more inside, through looking through my heart, being within me, and then asking if this is what serves me, rather than being stuck to people thinks in situation, and being not my individual experience, but being the external, because maybe I was shy and probably I was not confident and all sorts of different things. But it is absolutely essential to start at least noticing. You don't have to do exactly what I've went through and start paying attention. But first of all, ask yourself, where is my space in my house? That would be a mirror reflection, how much you're seeing yourself truly. Because really, intimacy is not, the erotic intimacy is into me. I see how much you see yourself with life, through life, not how you're going to be feeling like more belonging because you have a big group of people, or you feel loved because someone has to compliment you all the time. No, it goes the other way around. First, you're in the focus. Your focus has to be on you, how you feel, you choosing, you actually, going into life with openness and seeing, I like this or I don't. I choose this or I choose that, rather than not knowing, because I didn't know who I was. As I said, I didn't, and probably for my safety was to be stuck to other external things to feel the wholeness. But the wholeness now, when we know, does not happen outside. It is already existing within us. Okay, my loves, lots of love, and see where you're doing this. If you're doing something similar, if you're finding, that you actually doing things, you're in a relationship and you never really choose you in a relationship. No, and I don't want to say this is not about selfishness. No, it is about, like, when you have a conversation, where to say no to yes. Where you can say, this is what I like it. Yes, I can see you like this, but I like that. This is when you start, kind of bit by bit telling your story, saying your truth, and being, the pure mirror reflection for yourself in a moment, rather than being externally. Lots of love, gorgeous, and see you next time. Bye for now. And share with me if this is something what it resonates with you, if you have some similarity, or and maybe share with me, where are you on your spirituality, growing, expanding, or be fun. Lots of love.